response left me confused for a moment. They told me, "We are not destroying it. On the contrary, we are pruning it so that it grows healthier." How interesting. To grow a tree it has to be pruned, cleaned, purified. In this month's sermon series, United to Him, we are exploring the nature of our union with Christ and its implications for daily life. And today in particular we will see how those who are united to Him are purified, cleaned, pruned, in a similar way to the branches that are connected to the trunk of a vine. The concept of our union with Christ is fundamental to the understanding of our life and faith in the Lord. For example, the Apostle Paul expounds this truth quite a bit in his writings. His use of the expression in Christ or in Him or with Christ is notable. This grammatical form is found more than 150 times in the Pauline epistles. To say that we are united to Christ is to declare that we are grafted into Him, or adhered to Him, rooted or planted in Him, and that it is by that union that we participate in Him and identify with Him in the whole work of redemption and in the benefits of it. There is such a bond between Christ and believers that everything Jesus has done or completed applies to believers almost as if they had done it. That is why believers are spoken of as having died and resurrected with Christ, or as having participated in the sufferings of Christ, as following the same pattern of Christ's life of first humiliation and then glory, or as when the glory of Christ is manifested we will also be manifested in glory. The scriptures use different images to illustrate this precious union, however. The most well-known and prominent is the figure of the vine and the branches of John 15. We are as united to Christ as a branch is to the trunk. In the context of this passage in John, Jesus is at the Last Supper with His disciples, they have eaten the Passover, He has washed their feet, and as He is saying goodbye to His disciples shortly before being apprehended by the religious authorities, He warns them of the difficult times that lay ahead for them. Perhaps until now, following Jesus had been something entertaining, seeing miracles, learning from Jesus, eating for free, etc. But now He would leave and they would have to face the opposition of the world in fulfilling the mission. It was time to face difficult situations without the teacher. What should they do? How could they live in this world that opposes Christ and all those who are His disciples? Jesus begins in chapter 15 with this very revealing teaching. He says, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the vinedresser." Verses 1a, "And I am the vine and 760. You are the branches." v.5a. When Jesus says I am the true vine, we should not think that He is simply using a very vivid metaphor in His culture. It is certainly a metaphor, but it is much more than that. As in the other cases when Jesus says, "I am," this statement also has its background in the Old Testament. Jeremiah 2:21. "I planted you, like a choice vine, with genuine seed. How come you have become a strange, degenerate vine?" In the OT, Israel, as a people, is named as a vine or vineyard. For example, Psalm 80 or Jeremiah 2. All who belonged to Israel were then in the vineyard that God had planted. They were connected to God through His covenant. But that vine failed, that vine became corrupted. He abandoned the living and true God, and went after false gods. In that context we must then understand the words of Jesus when He says, "I am the vine," and adds the adjective true. He is saying, I am the authentic, original vine that God planted. Israel was a reflection of me. I am the new Israel. All who are united to me are in covenant with God. I am now the one you need to connect with. So this metaphor is highlighting the inescapable connection between Jesus Christ and the believer. If you are not connected to this true life, you are connected to nothing. If you are not in Christ, in Him, with Christ, you are deprived, uncovered, disconnected, and you should feel desperate. And Jesus clarifies the points of comparison of the metaphor. He says, "I am the true vine and my Father is the husbandman." That is to say,